Hello there, vinyl community and YouTube. Thought it would be a little smart to shoot another video here to show off my new CD shelves, the new CD racks that I bought recently. This one and this one, ready to be filled with a whole lot of CD albums. One big purchase. I haven't been all that active, as you can hear a little bit in my voice. I've been having a pretty nasty cold, so I've been keeping myself updated with on the move movies from Gothenburg, but they are right now. They are all I've shown all 6 parts of the series, so. But my voice has become better, so now I can at least do a vinyl CD update. But if I should do some coughing every now and then, you know why. I'm not 100% free of it yet, but it's way better than it was around a year ago. Vinyl CD update for October. October, I thought when I looked back at it, I thought that, well, maybe it wasn't all that good month, but when I looked at what I've purchased when I got together a record for this video, I realized that, yeah, it hasn't been all that bad. Of course, October was the month where I went on a record fair in Umeå, not Sundsvall, but Umeå, up north, and that one I will be editing and do another on the move video from record hunting in Umeå, and show what I bought at the record fair there and then later date. But otherwise October was not all that bad month, actually. I found pretty much interesting stuff, plus I did some ordering to the web shop Ginza also. So let's start by showing what I found in October. For once we have participants from all the 4 big formats: CD singles, CDs, vinyl singles, full-length vinyls. Starting with a couple of CD singles. Swedish Soul King, Eric Gadd, and Saint in the Parish from '97, and the album The Right Way. Really great Swedish soul album. And we have I've shown before the Mariah Carey single Without You, the one with a big half price tag on, and I got so sick and tired of that ugly tag in such a classic great single, so I got myself and bought another copy, a better copy of the song. One of the best songs of the 90s. Going to full-length CDs, and as I said, I made a order to webshop Ginza a couple of weeks ago, and got what I wanted. First of all, I mentioned before that big band leader that is sadly forgotten that I like very much is Boyd Rayburn. Was a bit ahead of his time in the 40s and started to experiment with jazz and classical music. He did some arrangement of orchestral works by Stravinsky and so on, and very much ahead of his time when it comes to being big band leader. But in my opinion, he was a really great one. Not easy to find records with him though, but I'm starting to have what looks like a small collection at least of him. And at Ginza, I all of a sudden found this double CD set called the Boyd Rayburn Collection, 1944 to 48. Yum yum, a lot of songs that I didn't have. So I'm really satisfied and happy with this one. Released on Acrobat Music, that I had no problems with before, but what I did have problems with was that was also distributed by MCPS. Still haven't got any clue of what MCPS really is in this case, and why they're releasing low budget. But here, this actually is MCPS exception. This album is really good and contains a whole lot of great stuff with Boyd Raymond that I didn't have. So I really satisfied with buying this one. I really wanted to have this one for my collection of Boyd Raymond. But I also found this one at Ginza. I mentioned my favorite singer, Peter Lemark, my favorite Swedish singer. This is his latest album, Den tunna tråden, The Thin Line. And an album really I haven't listened to it yet, but what I've heard of it is very fine, very awesome made, fantastic lyrics, which are both about love, but also about death, and the title track of this song, he really describes in a very passionate and great way the feelings when his wife found out that she had cancer. So really personal and touching song, and I really have high expectations for this album. Might be placed on the best finding of the year, since his album before that was the finding of the year when I got it a couple of years ago. But what I also was really happy about from my purchase from Ginza is this. Jimmy Smith, a 10 CD box set from Kind of Smith, House of Jazz. And see here. And what's fantastic about this one is that it actually is a 10 CDs box set containing only music from his earliest career in the 50s. So a whole lot of stuff that I didn't have, because most of the Jimmy Smith things I have are 60s and 70s and maybe newer, but from the 50s I have very little. So I was very I've listened to 2 or 3 CDs from this box so far, and they're really great, highly recommended. Release of something called House of Jazz, never heard of, but seems pretty good. Swedish singer Mauro Scocco, fan of. This is a great hits compilation that also contains a bonus CD, so it's a double CD set. We have, when we're talking about Peter Lemark here earlier, this is Swedish actress, singer, comedian, singer-songwriter, whatever you might call her, Anna-Lotta Larsson, and her album Just vid den här tiden, just about this time. This is an album actually that is where all songs are written by Peter Lemark, so that was of course the main reason for me buying it. Now we're coming to vinyl singles. When it comes to vinyl singles, here I will do a special vinyl CD update part 2 in a very near future. I came across a couple of a lot of cheap records, and a whole bunch of them I got for free because they were without a sleeve, and little maybe not the best shape, but still I took those who were in that good shape that they were really listenable. So those singles I will show in a separate video, but I also, some of them I also bought for a very low price also that had a sleeve, and Some of them are blind buys, of course. But here, starting with all of these singles that I got pretty cheap. Alicia Bridges, I Love the Nightlife. I think I've heard this one, but I'm not really sure. I haven't been listening to many of these either yet. So it was a little bit of a blind buy. This one, of course, I know what it is. Baccarat. The Devil Sent You to Lorardo. One of the pretty much forgotten Baccarat song. We're not talking Yes for I Can Boogie here. More blind buy. Christy Lane, Come to My Love from '79. I have no idea what it is, but it's released on United Artists Records. That usually could be something interesting. Pearly Gates, never heard of. Released in 1978. Burning Love, also a blind buy. This one was not a blind buy. This is actually, it's not proper sleeve unfortunately, but this is Speed King with Deep Purple from 1970, and Black Knight on the other side. Another one, now one pretty famous, Elton John, Pinball Wizard. Proper sleeve for once. Another one with proper sleeve, Blondie, Heart of Glass. And here we talk about jazz. A very interesting finding. I think I have some of these songs, but some of these songs I also don't have. This is part 2, the Benny Goodman story. And this is a double EP set, 2 singles, and some of them contain Benny Goodman Quartet, Benny Goodman Trio. We have a slipped disc jam session, very interesting one that contains both Benny Goodman and Stan Getz. I never heard these two together actually. And we have also some songs with the big band. And really, really interesting. I'm always happy to find Benny Goodman stuff that I don't have. Blind buy that I have no clue what it is. Oliver Onions, Lulu. But low price, I could give it a try. Now we're coming to a quartet of singles I bought today. This is some jazz, released on Jazz Tone, which is normally not a favorite label of mine. I think their recordings are and releases are not the best sound, but I still got interested, so I bought it. The Count's Men, featuring Joe Newman, and the Count here, of course, is I guess Count Basie. So we have Joe Newman, Frank West, Frank Foster, Benny Powell, Sir Charles Thompson, and Ed Jones and Shadow Wilson. They're playing Jumping at the Woodside and Frankie and Johnny. So I think it is really nice swing music from the 40s. Stevie Wonder, Go Home. Not going to go home yet. From the In Square Circle album from 1985. More Stevie Wonder later on. Here we have the Brothers Johnson and Stomp from the Light Up the Night album that I showed previously. A really magnificent soul funk album, really favorite of mine, and this is the single from that album, so really great, happy to have that one. Now we're getting into the full-length vinyl. Here we have Helen Terry, who was a singer that I heard couple of times in Swedish radio when I was a teenager, but without paying all that much attention other than I noticed the name. Then I bought two singles by her during this summer, which were more or less a blind buy. Two singles that I heard on the radio when that time. But here I managed to find an entire album with her earlier. This is from 1986. It's an earlier Helen Terry album, so it's going to be very, very interesting to discover her. The Blue Notes from 1986. We also have a really, really great jazz album that I managed to buy at our new record store. You heard that we have a new record store here in Sundsvall called Vinylstallet. And this time I managed to find a live album with Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers from the late 50s. Jazz Messengers at the Café Bohemian, Volume 1. We have Horace Silver, Hank Mobley, Art Blakey, Kenny Dorham, and Doug Watkins. And this is a really... I listened to it yesterday when I was putting up the shelves. And it's a really, really great album, live album, complete with announcements and so on from Art Blakey. And highly recommended album. I really like the first song, Soft Winds. I also like the ballad Along Together, and of course the final song, Prince Albert, that have more or less stolen the whole intro from All the Things You Are. So really, really fantastic live jazz album, highly recommended. Not often I found stuff at Red Cross here in Sundsvall, because they have been for so long some kind of a masters of flea market records that are everywhere. But here I managed to find a couple of albums that were really interesting for once. Brian Ferry, The Bride Striped Bear, from 1978, I think. So really, really happy to find this one. And we have Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog, from 1980, containing Jessie's Girl. Another one from Vinylstallet. This one was shown in a previous video by someone. I think it was James Griffith who shown it, because I remember when that was shown that I was very surprised, because I had a feeling that I had all 80s OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark albums, until this one was shown, the very first one, and I realized that, wow, that one I don't have. So I felt like I gotta have that one, and now I finally have it. The debut album of Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark from 1980, containing Electricity. So now I only need to have the two latest albums that they released in 2000, after 2010. Those are the only one I don't have. Here, I said in the beginning of the year that it will be a great year for Jimmy Smith. I had the feeling, boy was I right. I shown a box that's on CD, but I also managed to find this. I'm going Get Myself Together from 1970. 71. I also said that I want to find more Jimmy Smith where he plays the funkier stuff. He did some albums with funky music, and this is a first little step, because this one is a whole lot funkier. I listened to quick peeks of it, and it's a whole lot funkier than the other one, who are more jazzier. And he also sings. I'm not too fond of when he sings, but it's a pretty early album, so I think it could actually work also here. But it sounds really, really interesting, very funky, very great musician and great produced. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm gonna get myself together with Jimmy Smith, released on Verve. Records that I found today. This is Billy Joel and Piano Man from 1973. I got for $1. This is Barney Kessel and a jazz guitar album that looked very interesting. I bought a Barney Kessel album in Hudiksvall a couple of years ago, if not 1 year ago. That was very, very interesting, and I bought this one, and it looked kind of interesting. Also because there are, as you can see here, a Hammond organ involved here. Annotello Vanucci plays Hammond organ here in a whole lot of songs here, tracks here. So this one is going to be very, very interesting. Recorded in Rome in 1969, so it's Italian musicians. Stevie Wonder, and a live album actually from 1970, released on, of course, Tama Motown. Stevie Wonder live, all the classics are here. We have Place in the Sun, we have version of Blowing in the Wind, we have My Sharia More, Yes to Me, Yes to You, Yesterday. So this one is going to be very, very interesting. Stevie Wonder live. Modern jazz quartets and a more Latin influenced album. More jazz quartet. Guest star Laurindo Almeida, a guitar player. And plays a whole lot of interesting stuff here. Plays Triste. We have One Note Samba by Carlos Jobim, Concerto Arjunius also, and we have a version of Fugue in A minor, Johann Sebastian Bach. So it could be very, very interesting actually. Be very, very interesting. And finally, was a little low on 70 sold this month, unfortunately, but I found this one today. The Masqueraders. The Masqueraders, yes, and Love Anonymous. This one is from 1977 and produced by Isaac Hayes. So this one can be very, very interesting. I've heard the name of the Masqueraders, but not all that familiar with them. So that was October. Was a pretty good month still. So it's going to be interesting to see what November has to offer. So I'm going to do this little special vinyl CD update with these singles that don't have a proper sleeve. And let's go see what I'm going to do. Some edit of the records I found in Umeå also. So until next time, I hope that you have a real nice time, no matter where you are, no matter what you do. And take care, everybody, and so long.